And welcome into the JP and Trav show. It is your boy, JP, and to my right, I have my host of this team, Travis Davidson. Travis, how you feeling, man?
Man, I'm feeling great, man. Feeling great. Looking forward to heading out to Iowa. We've been out there before, so really excited about that, and excited about Anthony Evans' comments about his visit to Georgia. It's just good vibes all around, man. A&M's in the dumpster. Nobody knows what's going on over there. Texas has one of their top recruits taking an OV to Florida State this week. So it's good times all around, man.
Yeah, that's for sure. Hey guys, those of you that are in here right now, make sure you like the video. Make sure you comment, share, subscribe. Let's get everybody in here that we can. I know we normally have stragglers from OU Insider that starts at 8:30, but again, just share. People that love to talk college football, especially OU, but just in general, love to have a good time. Have them come in, man. Let's get this thing packed up. We're gonna have a fun show tonight. Trap, what's up, dog? Good to have you in the building. Got our homie
Trap.
James, Mrs. Trap's beard.
Man, yeah, man. I was going down to LSU, and I was like, it was so prior. Like my barber, my guy had taken it real in tight towards the sides and left kind of this a little bit longer. But
Yeah,
then it kind of like as it grew out, it was like here, and then it had this like squared type chin thing going on. So I just did the whole thing. But the nice thing is it'll grow back.
yeah,
So
yeah. It will. It will. I mean, I wish I could grow a beard like that. In general, I got a little goatee, but I'm not. I'm not flying like that. I know loose phone, loose cannon.
sorry, somebody he texted me, and I guess the vibrate feature sent it over the edge.
Dang, tough, tough.
I know, man. First world problems.
First world problems for sure. Hey, let's go ahead and get rolling with the show, y'all. Again, continue to comment. We'll put your guys' comments up here. We'll talk about some stuff. We have some topics we do want to cover today and hit. One of the first things I actually want to talk about, we've done this segment a couple times on the show. It's called Traveling with Travis. Our boy Travis does go all across the country, whether it's with KREF or whether it's on a bye week, and he stays at a former coach's of ours house and has a good old time down there in Baton Rouge. So, talk to us about Baton Rouge and how that went.
It was great. The Canes are some of the nicest people that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. Friends of the show, of course, Jamar and DeCarla. So they're fantastic. They're on a bye week this week, but really, really fun. LSU was a great time. I'm really looking forward to that SEC move so the whole fan base can experience going to some road games like that. I mean, tailgating went on for seemingly miles. Everybody there. I mean, it's very much a way of life. It's not an event that they are going there to be spectators for.
Yeah,
It is an event that they're fully immersed in. They're part of the experience, right? So it's like you are going to feel their fans. The fans are going to cause you to call timeouts. They're going to cause you to false start. That kind of thing. It's just a mental shift than what I think a lot of us are used to in Norman. A lot of fans in Norman go because they want to see a show. They want to see a football game, and sure, they'll cheer when they're happy. But if you don't bring them to life, they won't. And I'm not saying this about all fans, but let's be realistic.
thanks.
It happens. So with that, it was very obvious with the LSU fans that they felt almost like a duty to impact the game. And they did. And they ended up blowing out a top 10 team. So it was really cool. Again, food was great. Drinks were flowing. It was the first Saturday that I've really been able to enjoy games like I used to because, can't drink on the air and can't drink pre or post really. So anyways, really enjoyed it. Couldn't have had better hosts, and got to hang out with a bunch of the coaches' wives. That was a lot of fun. They got a lot of good energy. So, we're in Baton Rouge right now. Well, cheers. Go to Solou, Solou. They got some. They got some shrimp corn dogs. They're fantastic. They do shrimp, big shrimp on a stick, batter them in corn dog batter and fry them. They've got some boudin quesadillas that are really good. So, yeah, Solou, go check it out. And then if you need beignets, go to Coffee Call. Coffee Call. They got some beignets there. Dip them in the coffee. Yeah.
Beignets are where it's at. Beignets are where it's at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, it was a really fun trip. Easy drive. I mean, I will say this though about the drive. I think I take for granted, and I think a lot of people take for granted, nice gas stations. Because, man, I'm driving down there, and for miles and miles and miles, I keep thinking, I pull up on my maps, I'm like, we got about 30 miles still empty. I'll see what kind of gas stations I got going on, and there'd be like 4 in a row on the maps, and I'm like, I'll try them out, some Exxons and some, Valeros or whatever. And I'm driving, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of crappy. And I keep going on, I'm like, oof, that one looks real dirty. And then I realized, like, I'm about to leave town and run out of gas because I was picky about the gas station, so I got to stop at the last one. It's just people around the country. I don't know. I mean, Chad will have to let me know if they know that there are nice, clean, big gas stations around. Because I'm spoiled with Quick Trip. I mean, Quick Trip, you got On Q out west. You got, Buc-ee's when you're driving down. Like, there's I don't know, something I took for granted for sure.
Man, that is always an interesting thing when you're driving places, man. Just looking at the differences between gas stations. I've felt that. I have a lot of family that lives in Mississippi, and I kind of felt the same way driving to Mississippi at times. Just like, man, there's not, and even honestly, I'll say up here, like the one gas station up here. I don't know if you're at a Speedway. I don't know if there's a Speedway. Is there?
Not in Oklahoma, but I've been to one. At least I don't know of one in Oklahoma, but I've been to one.
Yeah, I didn't think there was. But yeah, like Speedway in Indiana is my go-to. Arkansas, my go-to is Casey's, and then
Casey's General Store. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Oklahoma was obviously Quick Trip or whatnot. But yeah, it is interesting to see the dynamic of gas stations between states and whatnot. Definitely interesting. Man, yeah, that game. Speaking of games, that game was amazing. And I know you had great seats, and the atmosphere was great. What really quick, and we're not going to spend too much time on the LSU game, obviously, but what do you feel is the turning point in that game? Because it was back and forth for a while there early. What exactly do you feel like tipped the game in LSU's favor?
It was LSU finding their rhythm in the secondary. So Jackson Dart threw for 100 yards through 6 minutes of the game. And it was, they had one drive. LSU had one drive where they had 3 defensive pass interference calls. One was on a 3rd down, one was on a 4th down, and another one was in the end zone. And it gave up a touchdown, and I think once those defensive backs kind of calmed down a little bit, and then offensively, once they got the run game going, Jaden Daniels was really, just fantastic on the ground. Can't really throw the ball all that well, but it really came down to the run game. He just kept on escaping up the middle. And making guys miss. Zone read stuff. I don't know if you guys saw Mr. 30 coach go after him, but the zone read game, it was like, it was there all day for LSU. So just kind of, the first couple drives, I was looking at DeCarlo, And I'm like, this is gonna get ugly. Like it was like Mississippi or Ole Miss couldn't be stopped. Their crowd was getting into it. Like it was a little ugly. But he get the rushing game going. Had a missed field goal early. Just everything was going on wrong for LSU. But once they pulled it together, I don't think they gave up any points in the second half.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I know that I tuned out the second half a little bit. Kind of on the way to a little festivities for the Pacers game that night. But yeah, just to be able to see the LSU shellac them like that. I remember texting you like, man, like it was a great game to
Well,
go to.
here's the thing, like OU, their Wi-Fi is pretty serviceable in the stadium. LSU, nothing. I mean, it was bad. I tried to send you those pictures when you were like views. I
Yeah.
tried to send them for 45 minutes. I could not get them sent.
Are you serious?
Finally went later.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
finally later. So it was. I looked at the car. I was like, "Y'all don't have Wi-Fi in here?" She's like, "In the stadium?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "No, not that I know of." I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, I'm just. I think it's definitely first world problems, but it's like you would think in 2022, like anywhere you go, you should be able to have a signal, like anywhere. Like you see all those maps that like
Yeah.
T-Mobile and all these people put up on their commercials. It's like, oh man, we've got the most coverage of anybody, blah, blah, blah. It's like, man, it looks like the whole dang country, but apparently not in Baton Rouge. So, yeah. Yeah, the hoodie is clean, no doubt. But, yeah, that Theta burger, I cooked a bunch of those this morning. I had to open trays this morning. I was slanging them things. A lot of jalapeno cream cheeseburgers today too, man. Those are moving.
Sounds delicious. I can't wait to visit again here in about a month or so. Come get another burger. All
Man,
right.
hey, I mean, people are still on the phone in the SEC. I mean, you look at people taking videos and whatnot and everything. Like, you like when first of all, one of the coolest college football scenes I've seen recently. Obviously, some incredible times at Oklahoma, some fantastic times at Arkansas. Obviously, great times at Red River and this, that, and the other. But I'll tell you what, the calling Baton Rouge was a blast. At end of the third quarter, start of the fourth quarter. Those of you that are not familiar with Garth Brooks, I would get familiar. And he has a song called Calling Baton Rouge. And it's teed right up for them for it to be their song. I mean, it's too easy. But it is awesome. The whole stadium does it. I was singing along to it because I like the song a lot. So no, it was a lot of fun. I do notice, people in the comments talking about the beard. The beard, yep, it's trimmed down a little bit, like you said. Stormtrooper helmet is actually not moved into my new place yet. For some reason, I didn't think it was really one of my top moving priorities. Silly me, but yeah, I'll need to get that thing going.
Oh man, yeah, I can't wait, man, till we get to the SEC. It's gonna be fun to try.
Yeah, tell that daughter of yours to grow up quick.
He said, "Who?"
Hey, tell that daughter of yours to grow up quick so she can watch herself while you go to the SEC game.
She already is, man. She almost crawling now. It's nuts.
There you go. By the time in the SEC, just I don't know, just FaceTime. Keep your FaceTime with her. You won't be able to get any signal, but you'll be all right.
Well, yeah, me and Uncle Trav going to a game, so you'll be all right, my mama. All right, let's go ahead and get into Iowa State a little bit. Obviously, we are heading up to Ames this Saturday at 11 a.m. for 11 a.m. start. Is that on Fox this Saturday? Is that a big noon kickoff, or is that that's where is it? ESPN?
I want to say it's FS1 or something like that. I don't know. I'm not entirely. Yeah, FS1. I'm not entirely sure. I
Gotcha.
haven't watched the game on TV this year yet, believe it or not.
Yeah, I have. I'm gonna find a perfect apple orchard in Mississippi. By the way, Richard, that's a that's where I was at on Saturday. So
That's funny.
um, Trav, you're going up to Ames on Friday morning. That'll be fun. I know. I saw your tweet, and I'm sure people that do follow you saw the tweet just about the place you're gonna be. And so, really quick before we dive super deep into the game, tell people where you're gonna be setting up shop for your radio.
Yeah, we're going to be at Jethro's Barbecue in Ames. They are the largest sports bar in the Big 12 Conference. So, largest sports bar. They got slow smoked wings. They got slow smoked baby back ribs. Really good. Check out their Instagram. Their food looks amazing. I'm really excited about it. Our boy Douglas Miles will be there. Justin Kelso is going to come through. Mr. OU, Senor OU, all those folks, they'll all be there. So it's going to be a really fun time. We will be doing we'll be doing pregame there 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then I'll be doing postgame there for the 2 hours after the game. So yeah, it'll be a really good time.
Yeah, man, when you posted that picture, I was like, dog, that look fire. I mean,
I was picking out different foods from their Instagram. I was like, good Lord, I should have posted 3 or 4 pictures.
Man, it looked delicious. It's gonna be fun. Hopefully you get to hang out and enjoy a win after 11 a.m. on Saturday. Let's talk about some keys to the game. Let's go offensively and defensively. Let's start defensive first because obviously, if nobody's been paying attention, you've been living under a rock or use defense. While they played a little better against Kansas, we still given up 4 straight games of 40 plus points, which is just unheard of, really. I mean, especially when you're talking about Brent Venables' coach defense, and I know he may not be the coordinator, but his hands are on it, right? And so, we've had our conversations on why it's the way it is. You can talk about talent, you can talk about IQ, whatever you want, but at the end of the day, we can't be giving up 40 plus points for 4 weeks in a row. Now, those offenses we faced were really good, all of them. Kansas State probably being the worst of such, but they've been better since they played us. TCU is great. Texas is a good offense. Kansas is a good offense. Iowa State is really not. They're statistically they're not a great offense at all. I think they're in the hundreds, if I'm not mistaken. We're in the hundreds for defense. So that's really the battle I'm looking at here. And we'll talk about the offense defense. But what really quick, Trav, what are some keys for the defense that you have on Saturday?
I would say safety depth for us. You look at the $1 million question, which is Billy Bowman. Billy Bowman, he's not 100% yet, but I do think that my personal belief is that he plays a little bit. I do think we've gotten great help from Woody when we needed it. We need to get that Damon Harmon back. Like people don't realize because Key Lawrence is so popular, everybody's like, oh man, Key's the best. He's better than, everybody but Billy. But Damon Harmon was actually really cutting into Key's snaps and getting a lot of the playing time and really he took over that position from Key until he got injured at TCU. He was always where he was supposed to be. Key is obviously a more impressive physical, player when it comes to his actual size and speed and weight and everything like that. But Harmon was in the right spot. I mean, all the time. I mean, that kind of stuff is what you need on the back end. And I'm going to make a comparison, and it's not a one-to-one each comparison, but it reminds me a lot of how I used to talk about Pat Fields. Pat Fields is one of the smartest football players ever to be at Oklahoma. He was always in the right spot. Other people were, screwing up fits, blah, blah, blah. Like, he was always in the right spot. He wasn't the most physically daunting or physically talented guy, but it was his brain that kept him on the field. Same with Harmon. Harmon isn't going to run a 4.3, but he's not going to blow assignments. Like it's and again, he's not going to blow them often. Not as often as Key Lawrence will. Not as often as Justin Harrington would. Things like that. So Harmon, there's a reason that he was getting a lot more playing time before the injury. I think getting him back, who is probably our second best safety, again, not ceiling, but he was playing as our second best safety, and getting Billy back, those are helpful because we see how bad we are with Billy gone. That is really, I think, what turned the tide. We weren't giving up, 50 points a game when Bowman was in there. Sure, we gave up, 30 or 41. What was that, 41-34, really? Yeah. But I don't know. There's something about having Billy back there. But I think, what I'd really like to see, Hutchinson's their only threat. He leads the league in receptions per game at nearly 10. I think he's at 9.6 receptions per game or something like that.
Yeah.
I would love to see, J-Row on him or something. If he's eating us up, if he scores twice, I don't care who you got on him. I don't care what happened. Get J-Row off the bench. He's 6'3", 220, and runs, like a deer. Runs like a 10-4 in the 100. And he played corner in high school. So get him out there, see what happens. But yeah, I think defensive keys for us kind of lie with our secondary health, unfortunately. But I don't think it's going to be tested that much because Iowa State's offense isn't very good.
Yeah. No, I agree 100% with you. At the end of the day, we have to really do a good job of making sure we stop their run game, which isn't good statistically either, but our run defense isn't good statistically, right? So, we're going to have a get right game. I was listening to Gabe and Teddy earlier today, and that's something that Gabe was saying is, we need to make sure this is our get right game, not theirs, not where they, run amok on us and we don't actually shut them down. If we shut them down, we can get their quarterback Decker, who's not terrible, but he's inexperienced and young, and we can get him in predictable situations and make him turn into Brock Purdy right on long throws or third longs and make mistakes, and hopefully allow our defensive linemen to pin their ears back and actually go after the quarterback, and hopefully they can cause some havoc, which we haven't seen much of out of that position group since really Nebraska. They got after him a little bit against Kansas, but even still, we had that was our first sack since Nebraska, which is crazy to say. So yeah, I'm hopeful that we can shut them down. They're going to be the worst offense we've seen, maybe all year. I mean, UTEP wasn't skillful, but their quarterback was decent, made a couple throws. Kent State certainly better offensively. Nebraska has had a good offense. I mean, their defense was the real crutch, but Nebraska's offense has been statistically good too. So I think that statistically, hopefully this is a game where we can show, hey, we're not as bad as we have shown. Obviously, we played 4 really good offenses, and now we had a bunch of busts with that. But we had the bye week to get ready. Now let's go feast on an offense that hasn't done much the entire year, instead of vice versa.
Yeah, I think 30 wins this game. I think we can hold them. I think we can hold them under 30. Yeah. I think 30 wins it. And again, our defense. I hope we see a lot more CJ Colden. He's a guy. We had talked about this kind of earlier in the year that this defense was lacking playmakers. Like they got talent everywhere, but they need playmakers. Somebody that's going to go and get you the ball. When you see a guy sky through the air, tip it to himself, like that's a skill. Like some guys just have a knack for getting the ball. Yeah. And it was his second interception in 2 games. Yes, I do understand that the one against Texas was an arm punt from Arch. I'm getting a hold of myself. From Quinn. and it was ugly. So that one, you can't drop it. I get it. But 2 in a row, something to be said about it. Deshaun White got the pick. So, force him into some mistakes and yeah, just get some new faces in. I want to see a lot of RSJ. I will be screaming in the press box if I see RSJ balling out.
Man, he
First
played.
of all, Hutchinson's not the best receiver in the Big 12. Calm down, Jacob. But I do agree with the sentiment. I only want Rowe on him if physically we just aren't matching up and you need somebody in there to match him physically better.
Yeah. No, I
one of if not the best wide receiver. He's like maybe
he's top 8.
I would say top 5.
Top 5, yeah. I would put Quentin Johnston number 1.
Yeah, Quinn's going number 1. But hey, man, Jacob's the same guy that said Marcus Major was Adrian Peterson 2.0. He's going to rush for 3,000 yards this week. So I'm not. I mean, he doesn't even know what's going on in our own running back room. So I don't know if he can judge that skill position down.
Yeah. No, again, we, at the end of the day, as long as we can get pressure and we can have success on those early downs, I think we're going to be able to have a good day on defense. And like you said, I think 30 wins the game. Now, going to the other side of the ball, offensively, what are you looking for? Iowa State's the best defense in the Big 12. I mean, they've always been really good. They don't have near, I think, the athletes that they've had in the past, in their positions, but they're always well coached by John Heacock, who, famously created, that 3-3-5 and the way it's kind of schemed up. And so they may not have the athletes, but they play really well. What do you think our offense needs to do well?
So, to your point, Iowa State, they keep everything in front of them, right? We talk about the drop 8, right? It's kind of their thing. So they keep everything in front of them. They limit the explosive plays. You can't take the top off of them very easily. All that makes me think about is how we opened the game against Kansas. Dylan talked about it. He said, we knew that they were going to give us soft coverage, so we're going to hit them underneath. We're going to hit them on, quick routes, quick throws, everything like that. And he was dialed in. So that's the thing. If we see the Dylan against Kansas, you can really get those guys playing up. You hit on enough of those quick ones, and you put it ahead of receivers so they can get some yak, then I really think they'll start to crowd down. Then you hit them with the over the top. You hit them with the double move and things like that, because Mims can hit somebody with a double move, and if you're even, he's leaving. So, I mean, if you get them biting on those, and Dylan, when he gets in that rhythm and that timing, this whole offense is about timing. It's very similar. I'm not sure, however, how many of you watch Big Bang Theory, but they talk about in interviews how everything, they almost like a metronome on set, like comedic timing, everything like that. Everything went to a certain measure. Like it was with that, I feel like Dylan's the exact same way. Yeah. You get that guy like 2 or 3 like super quick throws that are not easy throws, but straightforward. He's not having to throw big fades or anything like that. You get him some of those, and he really starts feeling himself and getting that confidence. Then we should be able to kind of go with the same game plan we went with against Kansas. But you do that, and you open up the run game, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, cool, we got these quick, and then so they're focused on coverage. All right, cool. Now we're going to let Eric Gray, who's averaging 7.2 yards per carry, easy RB1, was so obviously RB1 on this team. He'll gash you, and he's running with strength. He's running with confidence. He's running with a lot of patience. So if that Dylan shows up, I mean, if that Dylan shows up, then I have no. We could get to 40 on this defense if that Dylan shows up.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I think that the way that we performed against Kansas made me feel so much better just about how Levy would attack this 3-3-5 than how even Lincoln would in the past when he would get a little bit impatient. And you remind me when you say Marvin can put double moves on guys. That's exactly what he did in the Big 12 championship game in 2020, right? Where Rattler dropped back when Marvin was in the slot. He gave that guy a double move, and he put it, just perfectly in his hands for a touchdown. That was one of the only explosive plays we really had that game. But again, when you're doing the right things, that can open up. And so, I think we proved against Kansas that if you're going to give us that dog, we'll take it. We'll take that 5 yard hitch. You're gonna give us that space. That's what we'll do. And they're really sound. They're really defensively, in their positions. And not that they're not vanilla at all, but I don't think they do nearly as much as trying to confuse teams as just keeping everything in front. That's what they do, but they do it really, really well. And so, as an offense, you have to stay patient, and we have to be able to run the ball. We do. We have to be able to get physical, and we have to be able to run on a light box or what looks like a light box. Obviously, they have guys committed to the run from different angles and whatnot. But hopefully, Eric Gray can make people miss if we get a hat on a hat, and if he does that, he should have some good gashers because then there may be other people with wide receivers running and whatnot. So that's what I'm looking for the offense. Anything else you got?
Not necessarily. Outside of you got to get the ball to the guy who leads the team in receiving touchdowns. That would be one Braden Willis. Got to get him involved. He's a big body. He's hard to deal with. Can do a lot of things. He can disguise a lot of things. So I think Braden Willis continues to have big games. Think he has a big game this week. But no, I think the key to this is getting Dylan in rhythm early, and then that opens up the run game.
Yeah, and I have to agree with this quote right here that they're sound, they're slow in the middle. Their middle linebacker that's huge. He's not very fast to the side. Honestly, he kind of reminds me. He's not as fast even as David Iguebu, but David's a little bit heftier too. Sometimes struggles with that sideline to sideline speed. I think that's somewhere we could hit them with outside zones and whatnot, which I know Levy doesn't run all the time. But just being able to see if we could get that going, and then if we can get a guy committed, the middle of the field, like you said, could be open. Maybe Braden Willis can make some money, leaking out a couple times or whatnot, and obviously slants across the middle. But I'm hopeful. I think that, like you said, Dylan's going to be locked in like he was, and hopefully, just if we just throw out the 3 turnovers, right? That's an elite day from him. It was all nearing elite anyway. If you just miss or take away the turnovers, but hopefully, he doesn't put us in that position again, and he balls out, and that's what I'm looking for. And hopefully, we can just be patient and not try to take shots the entire time, which I don't think is in Levy's footprint at all.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Let me see some of these comments here before we move on to our next one. Here's a good question, real quick, about what we've just been talking about. You think BB will go back to a 3-man front once he gets his players, and if so, has he given up on the idea, presumably not forever?
So we will run a 3-man front. You'll see a lot of it in this game as well. Oh, sorry. Those messages, man, they come in hot. They're going to run 3-man front because Venables, if you heard his press conference, he talked about, Kansas runs a 3-man front, Iowa State runs a 3-man front. He called it a myth that you couldn't, stop the run with a 3-man front, or you couldn't play good defense with a 3-man front. I mean, Iowa State, their 5 players that make up their nose tackle and defensive tackle depth chart they come in averaging like 315, with their heaviest being 350. OU's same 5 on the depth chart come in averaging like 295, and our heaviest is like 305 or something like that. Like, so like we don't have the personnel for it, but with Venables, he's going to commit to the defense he wants to run, and he's going to make the players learn it through hell or high water. You're going to strain. You hear him use that word a lot, strain. This is supposed to be hard. He's not going to dumb something down to fit the personnel, because that would be doing a disservice to all the young guys that are going to be here for the years to come that need to learn this defense. You start right now for 2023. You get these guys trained up on the defense that he wants to run next year, and get all these freshmen in there and get all these young guys saying, hey, this is the defense we're going to run here. I'm not going to run a defense I don't want to run to win a couple of games. Like, it's this season, we're not in championship contention. Yep. It's over. Start going towards 2023. So you'll be doing a disservice to teach people a defense for this year and this year alone. And then once the last game's over, saying, all right, all those, 2 months that we wasted, yeah, I got to teach you what we want to do, actually. I think what you do is you tell the offense, take risks no matter what, go score 100 points every game, because the defense is going to be bad. But it's going to grow. They're going to have to strain through their growth.
Yep.
So with that, do not expect that, play it safe, run 4-man down and this, that. They're still going to run 3-man fronts. They'll do some 4, but they want to be multiple. So you'll see a bunch of different looks. But 3-man front's going to have to be the way to go, but you're going to see growth. We're going to be better for it down the road. You can't just dumb it down and then expect to be good in 2023. Yep. You got to start teaching these guys at some point that this is the defense we're going to run.
Yeah, and we've been consistent on that the entire year, even through the mishaps and the busts and everything like that. I mean, BV wasn't sent here, to have everything here and ready this year. He just wasn't. Like, we know that's a fact. And so more than getting 8 or 9 or 10 wins, at this point, it's about building for the future and building a foundation. And he's not going to dumb it down. We know he knows how to coach defense. He's proven he's been 8 national championship games as defensive coordinator. He knows what he's doing. So,
right. Well, and the problem is, to Jimmy's point, we do not have the personnel to run a 3-man front. Totally get it. I agree with you. We don't have the personnel to run a 3-man front at a championship level. We have the personnel to run a 3-man front where you're not giving up 50 a game, where you're not giving up 40 a game. The problem is when you look at TCU, it wasn't the 3-man front that caused wide receivers to run wide open down the field with nobody on. That's just mental errors. That's bad run fits. That's blown assignments. That's not because we had 3 down linemen versus 4 down linemen. I get that there are pressure differences. There's no doubt about that. But our big-time plays that we've been giving up this year that can be fixed doesn't have anything to do with having a 3-man front or a 4-man front. So if you play a 3-man front, even with the personnel we have now, if you clean up the run fits and you clean up the coverages, and if Woody gets his head around and defends a pass instead of grabbing, then you can play good defense with a 3-man front. You can't play championship defense with a 3-man front with this personnel. You need a Caden McDonald to come in. You need to get some guys in the portal to come in. So with that, you need more size on the line. I mean, when you go back to 2021 Clemson, 2020 Clemson, 2019 Clemson, all of those teams, keep in mind, Alex Grinch would not allow you to play defensive line if you were over 295 pounds. He wouldn't play you. He wanted you smaller. That being said, 2021, 2020, and 2019 Clemson all had at least 6 players that were above 290. 6. When you look at 2018, they didn't, but they had a 335-pound first-round pick in the middle, so it didn't necessarily matter. They didn't quite need the depth. So with that, you continue running this defense and you just learn through it and you take your lumps. And going into camp next year, the RSJs, the J Rose, the Jaron Canics, even the Danny Stutzmans of the world and the Ethan Downs of the world, like they all know it better. They all know what they're supposed to do, and they can work on that all off season and come back better for it next year.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And man, your point was great. It may not be elite like championship level, but you know what? You know, Baylor has done pretty good with a 3-man front at times. You know, you see teams like obviously Iowa State what they do. Syracuse, right? This I was watching Syracuse Clemson game. They got a nose tackle that's like 265, 270, and they're just talking about the effort that he played with, right?
Yeah, no matter what, with this personnel we currently have, there is not a deep. I don't care. 3-man front, 4-man front,
4-man front,
11-man front,
right? Bear front.
I don't like. There's no defense with this particular personnel that you could run to be a championship defense. It's just simply not the case.
Yeah.
So with that, why would you try and be just a little bit better at the expense of the future if you can just start building towards the future now and say, hey, defense, or hey, offense, go score a ton of points and we can still probably go 4-1 the rest of the way.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I'd be good with that. I said the other day to somebody, I think I could live with 3-2, but I desperately want 4-1 or 5-0.
I think we'll be 4-1. What's interesting is we thought the schedule. I mean, we could go back to our original or our videos preseason. We thought it was going to be, you know, Baylor, Oklahoma State, real backloaded and everything like that.
Yeah.
We were completely wrong. I mean, Kansas State, TCU, and Texas are all at the top of the you know, Big 12 standings, or at least close to the top of the Big 12 standings, with obviously TCU at the top. So when you look at it like that, you're like, oh, okay, I'm all right with that. Let's see if we can go 4-1 down the stretch.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. Hey, I wanted to talk about this. We'll not spend too much time on it, but I know you've probably been getting a bunch of questions about it all week. Hey, is A&M done for? Right? I mean, we've seen Jimbo in his 5th year. They're 3-4. Very easily could have been 2-5 with that Arkansas game, or the other game they had earlier this year that they just scraped by. Could be 1-6. I mean, the fact they're 3-4 and they have the talent that they do, the number one class, and I get the number one class freshman this year, but still, where do they go from here? I mean, Jimbo's locked in for 80, 85, 90 million in a buyout. They're not getting rid of him. Do you feel like something's coming down the pipeline, like a mass exodus of players? I know a lot of people have been asking that question. Are we going to see Hicks flip? Are we going to see Overton want to come somewhere else? Are we going to see Brownlow Denby? What are you hearing, and what do you just think about the whole situation?
I mean, apparently, I talked to a player that has a lot of ties to Texas A&M, a lot of players in the locker room he talks to. He said they are the baddest team in the nation. If they found out about half the stuff they did, Jimbo would have been fired long ago. And I was like, interesting. So with that, the culture is rotten over there. I mean, again, you see of that famous 2022 class, you know, you've got multiple suspensions. Now 3 offensive linemen are hurt, you know, starting offensive linemen. You know, Bryce Foster obviously started for them all last year. And then another's got 2 starts this year. Another one's got 4 starts this year. And, like, it's going to get bad because the defense has kind of been the bright spot, but they haven't been able to score. Well, they haven't been able to score with their starting offensive linemen. Now you take away some of those, it could get ugly. But as far as like transfer portal stuff goes, I do think we see kind of like Auburn right now. Like Auburn's just had 3 players hit the portal in the last like 30 hours. It's incredible. So I think A&M, you saw their punter hit the portal. That wasn't
Yeah.
exactly the domino we were asking for. But with that, I do think that you see kind of a mass exodus out of A&M, but there's no excuse for it. That's the problem. Like Auburn, they're going to get a new coach. Like you're going to see OU kids transfer out. It's called processing. So Venables is basically going to say, "Hey, look, I'll recommend some places for you, but you're going to be out of there." With A&M, there's nothing new. So usually when you see a mass exodus to the portal, it's because they've been processed. But A&M doesn't have any business processing any of their talented players because they aren't winning games. So with that, I mean, I don't think they make a bowl this year. They've got some tough games going forward. So when you talk about when you talk about their remaining schedule, I think somehow they figure out how to fire him with cause. I think it's very much a situation that they're going to pin something on him, whether it's pay for play or they're going to pin a lack of institutional control for all these kids getting suspended and just speeding through parking garages and this, that, and the other, and all the weed rumors that were allegedly in the bathroom and not in the locker room. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and read. Anderson's dad at the Nebraska game said players weren't going to practice and ignoring coaches' calls. This has been going on. Interesting. But yeah, I think you see a mass exodus, just like I think you see one in Norman too. I think you see a lot of kids leave Norman because you've been hearing, especially the week before Kansas, like a lot of rhetoric of, "Hey, if you don't like what we're doing here, get out." And it was allegedly, a lot of the older defensive players that apparently weren't buying into what BV was doing. So,
yeah. Well, you're talking about this quote right here, Trav?
Anderson's dad at the book.
They're talking about A&M, right? With this one, not Oklahoma.
I believe they're talking about A&M.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
I don't know. Have K.S. Berry clarified. But regardless, you'll see exodus either way. So you're going to see exodus on the OU side, but it's going to look different.
Yeah.
So you'll have some older defensive players being processed out, but A&M, you're going to see like freshmen, sophomores, like dudes that aren't having new coaches, weren't brought in by anybody else, like that are going to get processed out. Yeah. It's not good attrition.
No. Yeah, that's crazy, man, and it just is what it is, man. It's College Station for you. He wanted to say all off season, these guys are here because we have a great culture here in College Station. They want to play for Texas A&M. Just okay, Jimbo. Okay.
None of those people give a lick about Texas A&M.
Zero. Absolute zero. Man, the jerseys atrocious. I'm sorry.
Yeah, dude, it's bad.
The jerseys are so nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What position group thinking processing out? I'm thinking defensive backs would be one to keep your eye on.
Yeah. Eden, Dennis, maybe.
I'm not going to name any names.
Names I'm thinking of. Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't expect you to. That's just what I'm thinking in my head. Just guys who been here a couple years, can't get on the field. Though I guess Dennis did earlier in this season a little bit, or that was I think that was the K-State game. All right, hey, let's go ahead and hit up our patented game, this or that. Actually, real quick before we did that, we didn't do score predictions. Let's do a score prediction real quick for Iowa State this Saturday.
All right. I will say 38-28. Good guys. 38-28.
38-28 OU.
Yeah, I think it's close. I think it's 28-31, but OU scores last on a long clock-eating touchdown run to put up 38, go up 10 points, and then Iowa State tries to throw the ball to get back into it and ends up losing the game.
Like that. I'm gonna go 35-24 OU.
Okay.
Still sticking with a double digit, but I just think that we should be able to move the ball okay if Dylan is locked in, if our offensive line plays the way they have, and obviously there are a couple of them even dinged up allegedly, and if they can be even fresher, create those holes for Eric Gray, and it doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to average 7 yards a carry. He doesn't have to. Even if it can
He
be,
will. That's all he does. He
that's
will.
true. He's a monster.
What he
Even if
does.
it's 4, I mean, you do that 3 times as a first down. Methodically go up the field. That's what this game's going to be about. Don't make mistakes. Be sound. Be disciplined on both sides of the ball, and get out of Ames with a W.
That's all that matters.
35-24 is what I'm going with. A couple people are throwing out 40s for OU. Ooh, wow. 42-24. It's a little hefty there, but hey.
I like it. I like it.
I do like it. All right, hey, let's move on to our patent game, this or that, as we round up the show here. First, this or that, which you guys all know is the game we play where you have to decide between one of two options. If you absolutely had to, give a little bit of a description why. You guys in the comments, just go ahead and put what you're going to choose, and I'll throw it up there. All right, first one. Eric Stryker or Nick Benito?
Ooh. A lot of people lean recency bias on these that we've seen, but I'm going to go Eric Stryker. And I don't know if it was the good memories because he was on the teams were just so good, but he felt like a cheat code. I mean, he would come off the edge. Everybody knew what he was doing. He had the same move nearly every single time, but it didn't matter because he was just so fast that he would get to the quarterback. Now, if I had to start a team, in like maybe a pro team, I'd draft somebody. I'm drafting Benito because he's just a little more versatile.
Yeah.
He can go back in coverage, as we saw probably way too much. We saw him back in coverage.
Nice.
But yeah, Stryker was a mercenary. He was meant to do one thing, and he did it very well.
Yeah, I agree. I think Nick had the potential to be better, just in his terms of his skill set. I mean, and that's why he was a second round pick, right? And he was second round, right, or was he third?
I think he was third.
Was it third? Okay, I thought he was second. Third. Regardless, right? He got drafted. Eric didn't, right? And it's weird because you saw Eric have so much production in college, but again, a lot of times they look for measurables, and Nick has those, especially as an edge type of guy, and he's quick as well, and can drop in coverage a little bit. Obviously, more than we'd like to have him see in college, but Stryker made so many more plays, at least attacking the quarterback.
And you knew exactly what he was going to do. If he was on
Yep.
the field, he was going to rush the quarterback. Like, it was very was like Wob tweeting about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander last night. It was like he knows that he is going to dribble down, pick up the dribble, step back. The defender knows exactly what he's going to do. Doesn't matter. 2 points every time. Like Eric Stryker, you knew what was coming. You knew he was going to rush. You knew he was going to get to the quarterback, and it didn't matter. You couldn't stop it.
Yeah. Yep. And at the end of the day, I mean, that I think is what you look for in playmakers. And I wish we had Eric Stryker right now. Shoot. Our Mason Thomas.
Not on a 3-man front, but, you know.
Hey. All right, next one. Would you rather play in Ames or Lubbock? Obviously, we won Ames this weekend, but
Ames for sure.
Places to play. Ames
for sure. I mean, weird things happen, you know, in Lubbock. You know, they got all the thrown tortillas. They don't have Douglas Miles. They don't have Justin Kelso. So that's a feather in the Ames cap. They don't have Jethro's Barbecue. Shout out Jethro's. But yeah, Ames I'm really excited about. And it's a nice little drive. You know, just go up a little bit north, a little bit east, you know, nice little Midwestern drive. Lubbock, ooh, once you get deep in the state of Texas, feels like you can never get out. I mean, that thing swallows you.
Yep.
Feels like you can never get out. So, Justin Kelso in the chat? What's up? I didn't even know he was watching. Dope.
Hey, boy.
But yeah, so I'm going with Ames, no doubt.
Yeah. As far as playing, just what I've seen, obviously I've been to Lubbock. I've never been to Ames. Haven't been to Lubbock for a game, but been through Lubbock for a little bit. And yeah, I would have to say I would rather play in Ames. Now, people are asking, you know, morning or night, and I think it's the night for sure because both these places at night have been funky to OU in the past.
Yeah, night games in Lubbock, I want nothing to do with.
Yeah, night games in Lubbock are crazy. You got tortilla thrown, like he said, a little bit bigger venue, I think, than what Iowa State has up in Ames, but nonetheless, both great fan bases. But yeah, I would personally rather play in Ames than Lubbock for our guys. Yeah, for sure. All right, last one. So dessert question, little dessert question. Now it was inspired by something I saw Trav get into a little bit about butter pecan ice cream. It's not about ice cream, but it does involve a little bit. I'll explain here in a second. You'd rather have milkshakes or smoothies? You had to have a treat after dinner, or you just feeling like you want something sugary. You want milkshake or a smoothie?
I'm going milkshake. My grandfather was a dairy farmer in Minnesota. Actually, had a few dairy farms, so I feel like I'd be going against, my family if I picked smoothies. Plus, smoothies. It seems like smoothies have this weird, like, I'm being healthy aura about them, but really it's a ton of sugar.
Yeah.
And so it's like all these people that are like, oh man, smoothies all day, every day. I'm like, man, it's just, I don't know. With milkshakes, I at least know I'm not being healthy. So I think I can enjoy it more because it's not a fugazi. It's not a facade of being healthy. It's like milkshake. I'll give me a chocolate chip cookie dough milkshake. So you get the little chunks of the cookie dough in there. That's big time right there. Big time. What about you? You'd probably be smoothie, Mr. Johnny Appleseed. Probably pick some apples, throw in a blender.
Listen. I like apples, okay? I do. I'm not gonna lie to you. But
this man doing anything to get fruit into this or that without trying to be sneaky. Sneaky.
I am a milkshake guy. I am. I just am. It's almost too much. I got a steak and shake down the road from me. I almost got a milkshake probably like every other week the last couple months, which is not healthy at all. But I am a big milkshake guy. I am. Now I'll tell y'all when I almost did. I almost did milkshakes or malts, but I felt like it was too close together.
A little too, yeah, a little too close.
So I chose smoothies. Now I prefer a malt, specifically a vanilla malt from Browns right now, if I could have it. But we don't have Browns
So
in Indiana. So
old Richard Spray hitting the Hop Dottie salted caramel with pretzel. Tell you what, funny story. So um, there was a local burger concept that is owned by kind of a local restaurant group, and they had apparently, according to legend, lifted the Hop Dottie concept. They had gone in and I guess taken some menu items, taking some ideas. There still isn't, a lot of restaurants copy off each other. There's no original ideas out there, I guess, anymore as far as how many restaurants are out there. But
yeah,
it's they copied off Hop Dotties. Hop Dotties ended up like suing them, so they had to change their concept or close. So knowing that, I was in Austin for a wine event, and I had had a couple drinks, what of it, and I actually met Mike Jones that night. Yes, who? Mike
ooh,
Jones, that one.
my
Yeah, Mike Jones. So met him that night, hung out with him. Like it was a Chingo Bling was there. It was a weird night, but so we're walking out. I walk by Hop Dotties, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Hop Dotties! This is the place that like basically put a cease and desist on this local spot.
Mhm.
I got to get a shirt. Well, they were closed, but I see the bartender in there. I'm like, hey, can I get a shirt? And they're like, what? They walk out and they're like, sir, how can I help you? I said, I want to buy a shirt. He said, let me go ask my manager. We're closed, so I don't know how we do that. I'm like, well, let me tell you, I'll give you cash. You ring it in tomorrow and just do the sale tomorrow. It's not hard.
Yeah.
But they're like, well, let me go check. She comes back. She's like, manager says we can't do it. Well, the bartender hears me, and he's like, hey, man, you say you need a shirt? And I was like, yeah, $20. And he goes, all right, cool. And he takes his shirt off and hands it to me and goes back behind the bar and keeps cleaning. I was like, that guy's probably got a whole, closet full of these, just made $20. So
Yeesh.
anyways, I've still got my Hop Dotties staff shirt hanging in my closet right now, and I wear it whenever I go to the local establishment that tried to open one. So I'm glad you brought up Hop Dotties so I could tell that story that I would have no reason to tell otherwise.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
and I was asked what I'm drinking. I'm drinking whoop, the old granddad 114. So, a little bourbon, I had some old granddad at the 100 proof at dinner in an old fashioned, and I was like, you know what? I got a bottle of the 114 at the crib. Let me go ahead and pour up.
For a little
I'm
substance.
pouring a very small amount, as you can see on the neck. There's really not much going, so just throwing that out there. I know my mom's probably watching.
Hey, just a little taste, you know. I mean,
Well,
a
yeah.
little. Oh man, that's hilarious. Man, they trying to ask who hit the gym more, you or me. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we both hit the gym.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. We hit it every day because they got the nice little gym in my building I just moved into downtown.
Do that.
It's a nice little gym. Got free weights and everything. Got
Really?
the pulleys and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's but yeah, you can't drive driving wedges between us. We both work out,
Nice.
and he dances a little bit more than I do. So I imagine he does more cardio. But I do walk to work every day. So
You do.
that's Jamie finished the EHT. Which EHT? Small batch, I assume. It's the most common. Next we go single barrel, obviously, and then straight rye. Probably the three most available, I would say. But Yeah, I love me some EHT. Anything made by EHT. If y'all see it out at the liquor store, buy it and then DM me.
Uh, all right, guys. Well, man, it's been so fun having y'all as always. We appreciate you guys coming out. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Be ready for JP and Trav shows, obviously every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Central Time as we go throughout the season. Make sure you like the video if you have not already. Helps us get picked up by the algorithm. Gets more views, obviously, during the week as well. Once this posts in the morning. Man, we appreciate all of our live viewers. Obviously, the viewers that view later too, but mainly the live viewers that are here in the thick with us. We know it's late, but we appreciate you guys even the more that you stay up with us, and it's always fun. So, Trav, you got anything for the people before we head out, bro?
No, man. Just if you're going to be in Iowa for some reason, come by Jethro's Barbecue, man, in Ames. Come hang out with us. Best whiskey you've ever had, man. That is a very tough question. It's impossible to answer. It's based on mood. It's based on company. It's based on wherever, right? Location. So I will say all the Parker Heritage line is fantastic. Anytime you see any type of bottle of Parker Heritage, get that for sure. EHTs, Colonel E.H. Taylor is what that's short for. Definitely pick up some of those. Always good stuff. And then get store picks. So, like, for example, this is what you would call a store pick. So this one is, hold on, I gotta knock this down real quick. So this one is one we did at Cardinal Club. So you see, this is our Cardinal Club Knob Creek. So these are bottles that are picked by a group normally, and they're available in different liquor stores. A lot of liquor stores will do their own, restaurants will do their own, but always get your store picks. They're always going to be better than just like your typical Knob Creek, your typical Woodford, whatever they do, just standard. You have to think they put 1,000 barrels of whiskey into one, and then they divide it out, and that's their regular bottles. They can call it whatever batch, right? If you do single, you can pick. They'll literally send you cards that say, I want this barrel out of this warehouse on this floor, and they're like, okay, that's the one. So you pull that and you taste it ahead of time. They send you samples. Taste ahead of time, and you're like, yep, I want this one barreled and bottled, or I want this one bottled. And they bottle it, and then they ship it out to you, and that's the whiskey that you tasted in your little sample kit. So if you get an opportunity to get a store pick, you walk into a liquor store, and it says the liquor store's name on it, buy that. It's going to be your better whiskey, some of your better whiskey, and a lot of times it's hardly going to taste like the bottle, like say you get a Maker's one. It's not going to taste like a regular Maker's Mark. It's going to taste 10 times better.
Yeah.
Super budget bottle would be Early Times Bottled and Bond. That's what you keep in the or in the crystal decanter. So you got all your pretty bottles, everything like that. Your Knob Creek 2001, your Pure White Hennessy, even your little sample bottles. But you get your little crystal, your crystal decanter. Dump a little bit of that Bottled and Bond. The Early Times, $20 a bottle, and it's going to do you right every time. Yeah, one of the best bourbons, blend straight from the barrel, is the one you're thinking of. SFTB, blend straight from the barrel. Very good bottle. I've had 2 of those, and really good stuff. Really hard to get. Anything high proof, I'm a bit of a proof snob, because when you go the higher the proof, you have to think of, if you want something, JP, if you've got a bourbon that's 150, if you've got 150 proof, and you want to get it weaker to 100 proof, what would you add to that whiskey?
You say you want to get it weaker?
Yeah.
Put me on the spot.
Water.
That's what I was gonna say, but I was in my head.
I know, put you on the spot. You're like, it seems more complicated than that.
Yeah,
But
water. Yeah, water for sure.
right. So as you water it down to get a lower proof, like an 80 proof or something like that, then you're stripping away all those flavors. If I were to pour a water into, you know, a glass of Coca-Cola, like it would strip away some of the flavors. It would taste more like water.
Yep.
So with that, the higher proof stuff, if you can get your palate to stomach like 114 proof, 130 proof, 125 proof, stuff like that, you will start to get flavors that you don't get in 80 proof stuff. Like take these for example, like this one, 125.06 proof, 128.31 proof. Those are going to have flavors that you don't pick up from an 80 proof or a 90 proof or anything like that, because you're adding water to it. This is it's so much closer to its purest form of how it's supposed to be enjoyed. That's why all the super expensive bottles tend to be much higher proof, because they're so much higher quality.
Yeah.
For a little bourbon talk on a Wednesday night.
Hey,
Let's
well,
go.
we'll do a bourbon talk, man. My basketball team is going to Louisville over Christmas break for the tournament, so I'm gonna make sure I pick up some bourbon while I'm down there. I'm not gonna lie to you.
What? Wait, where are you going? Louisville?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, boy, you better call me.
Hey, let me know what you
call
want.
me. You better call me.
It's just 2 hours south, so.
Liquor Barn. You need to go to Liquor Barn. They've got some fantastic barrel picks. I'm gonna have you pick some up.
Kelso's like, can you elaborate for it? Man, he gonna see you this weekend.
Yeah, we'll taste some bourbons together. Oh wait, you don't drink. We'll figure something out. Kelso.
We'll figure it out. That'll be good. All right, hey, let's go ahead and roll. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week. Back here same time. Hopefully we're talking about a dub heading on to Baylor. Boomer.
Amen.